All right, how does my audio sound, guys? I don't know if everybody starts every stream that way, but I always have a fear that I screwed something up. Because today I'm trying to record the audio so that I can, tomorrow morning, the podcast version will be released. So, yeah, anyways, let me know if the audio sounds fantastic or if it's horrible. Yeah. All right, I'll give it just one more second. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's doing fantastic. Hopefully, you guys had a great weekend. Maybe you're starting your Monday. I think that would be like Southeast Asia. So if you're starting your Monday, congratulations for getting through the last weekend. All right. All right, so let's get into it. So I actually had a lot to talk about this week, and in the end, I had to get rid of a lot of the stuff. There was a lot of stuff that came up, a lot of security stuff. So I'm going to fly through the security stuff and try to just stick on the things that I found most important. But I also wanted to bring up one very important thing for all of you who have been very faithful in following me. I am about to release my M1 Mac video. So I've done all my testing, and I've done quite a bit of testing about just about every aspect that is important to me as a developer. That being said, if you have anything that you specifically want tested that you haven't seen information on, or just would like my thoughts on it on the M1 Mac, I need you to either leave a comment on this video, tweet at me, or join the Discord and ask me there. I'm going to be recording it probably next weekend and publishing it a few days after next weekend. But I've done all the testing. I've done all the screen recording that I'm going to capture. And now it's just up to formalizing all my thoughts on it. So I'm just telling you all that so that you can make sure to get your questions, your specific questions in. And I'll let you know. I know there's a lot of M1 reviews out there, so maybe this isn't the biggest deal. I'm just doing mine very specifically on developers. And probably a lot of GitOps or whatnot. All right, so let's jump into the news. All right, so I'm going to start off with some good news, goodish news. There was a 0-day that was targeting security researchers, and what I liked about this was, one, it was an interesting attack because it actually targeted security researchers. So basically they created a Twitter account, created a persona, told these researchers about security flaws, and then ended up getting them to click on a link in Internet Explorer with a security vulnerability. Now, why I say this is good news, Microsoft pretty much promptly patched it pretty much like the same day. And so I think that was a good win on Microsoft's part. Microsoft has been under the gun the last month, and so they need any win they can because, yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was good. I also thought it was a very interesting topic because like it actually targets the people you would think would be untargetable. So I know that there's some people who think that they know all the tricks and whatnot, and these people actually targeted people that should know them better than anybody. I'm not making fun of these people, just pointing out that pretty much anybody can be susceptible to these type of attacks. All right, following up on that, this is one I feel passionately about. Sorry for the ads. But Microsoft has admitted to, their Exchange vulnerabilities. There's 4 of them, if you don't know. That was last week. They've also created patches for those vulnerabilities that are out there. There are servers that are unpatched. Now, what this is all about is that Microsoft removed an exploit for for the proxy login vulnerabilities. That's what the group of 4 vulnerabilities are called. There was actually a proof of concept that actually worked posted to GitHub publicly. Now, there was people that actually have attacked Microsoft for this, and this is something I think is really stupid for these people to attack them. There have been companies that have hidden the fact that there's vulnerabilities and not disclosed them. That is not what Microsoft is doing here. It's not hiding a vulnerability. It is removing an exploit that would allow just about anybody to download it and exploit their servers. I think that's completely different. It's also against the GitHub terms of service. You're not allowed to post code that exploits vulnerabilities, that does things that are illegal. So I would just say get off Microsoft's back. They have enough problems as it is. But anyways, I just wanted to make sure that people understood that there was a distinction. Microsoft didn't hide the vulnerabilities because I am very against that. Microsoft merely took code that actively exploited that. All right. I found this funny. There was 3 15-year-old security flaws in Linux. So really people are starting to crack down on security, and this is good. Kudos to these guys that found these bugs. That's awesome. You found code that 1,000 eyes have probably seen. Actually, probably about 3, because who looks at Linux kernel code? This is another one I found funny. This is the first NIM security threat, which is quite funny to me. I've never actually used NIM, but I've known a lot of jokes about NIM. But yeah, there was actually a security vulnerability with an email campaign in NIM. I brought it up because it's interesting. We can get into this, but there's more interesting things to talk about. There's more Linux malware linked to Chinese hackers. Shouldn't be real surprise. This is interesting. So you think of F5 as your big network providers here, and there was actually security. This probably should have been earlier in the news. My apologies. But there is a big F5 security vulnerability. So if you own a data center, because pretty much I don't think you own an F5 anything unless you own a data center. If you own a data center and it has F5s, you need to patch them immediately. So go ahead and do that and make sure you're on top of those. I will make sure in the future that if there's a patching newsworthy, it's at the beginning. Hopefully, though, if you run F5, they've already reached out to you. All right, so this was pretty funny. Maybe not funny. I hope nobody got hurt. I didn't read anything about anybody getting hurt, so I'm assuming no one got hurt. But there's actually a data center burned down. And the only reason this was funny is I thought of this the entire time that I was reading the article. This is pretty popular among, I don't know. I've always, in all my circles, it's been pretty popular. So this is pretty much what I thought of when I was reading about the data centers actually burning down. Usually there's not an actual fire with your fire, because there was a lot of cloud providers that were down, or a lot of people in France, the .fe, I think it is, whatever the French, I don't know the French ending, I think FR. Yeah, France. That makes sense. I'm an idiot. So there was a lot of people that had to do their backup and recovery into another data center. So if you haven't practiced that or don't have something in place to handle that, this is a good lesson. The data center you are in might burn down. Now, I was going to talk about the massive camera hack that happened throughout the US, but instead of that, and I'm going to post this in the links, instead of talking about that, I love this CloudFlare article. You should read it from top to bottom, and it's just about their zero trust network. And basically, it goes on to describe how even if the hackers, which they didn't get into the corporate network, but they were on the camera's network. But even if they had gotten into the corporate network, it wouldn't have mattered because there's a zero trust network. So being on the corporate network doesn't really mean anything or affect anything. And so this is a really awesome article just going into detail why the hack on their security cameras wasn't actually a big deal. Now, don't get me wrong. They don't want people stealing their security cam footage. So it's still a big deal. But as far as their users' data, their databases, their data centers, it wasn't a big deal. As far as that goes, it's not a big deal. And they go into like there was some accusations that the hackers made and why these were incorrect, and they go into also proving it, which I thought was really awesome. It's a fantastic read. You should read it if you get the time. But yes, basically it's just they use their own stuff. They dog food their own zero trust networks, and so they practice what they preach. And they made an article on it, and it was pretty good. So you should read it. All right. So there was 2 Git vulnerabilities. One was in the Git clone. This you should know about. It doesn't affect everybody that uses Git clone, but you should just upgrade to the latest just in case you don't understand exactly what it is. GitHub itself wasn't vulnerable to this. This is the GitHub blog. But basically, as long as you didn't support symbolic links and process filters and untrusted repositories, then you were fine. So basically, you had to clone an untrusted repository that with process filters and system links. So if you don't do those things, you were fine. It's not like using git clone itself was a security hazard. It was using it on a untrusted repository that could get you into trouble. Now it's been patched, so the easiest thing to do here is just get the latest Git. Now, the other Git security vulnerability, you might have noticed that you were kicked out of Git if you were already logged in. And this was because of their handling of authenticated sessions. And this was actually a GitHub security issue. These are always really great to read. A lot of good companies actually do really good retrospectives when they have a failure either in security or just their service is down. And those retrospectives are really fantastic. I love the ones that come from AWS, Azure, GCP. Whenever they have a large outage, they release them, and it's a great learning experience for me and for other people. Learn from your mistakes. They're not really mistakes if you learn from them. Maybe they're still a little bit of a mistake, but... So anyways, this is, if you use GitHub, you should definitely read this to understand what happened and if you were vulnerable to it. Okay, Linus patches out an emergency kernel update. Yep, that's cool. Let's move on. All right, so let's talk about our clouds for a little bit. We're past the security. I'm pretty sure I ordered those correctly. So Google released kind of a new service. It's called Mission Critical Services. And basically what it is a new premium support tier where Google will help you manage your... basically, yeah, they're going to help you with your microservices and observability and control and measurement. Basically, it's a really high-level support tier, which looks pretty awesome. It kind of gets to hire out the Google team, which they have a lot of experience. So I'm kind of interested into like digging into this a little bit more. It's probably outside my price range of like $10 a month. So I probably won't get to... yeah, this is fine. So I probably won't actually get to test it out, but it's an interesting concept. And if I was a larger company that used GCP, I would definitely look into it. Along with that, there was in their releasement, this looked interesting. I saw this note about introducing Cloud Code Secret Manager integration. So basically, it's a secret manager integration into their Cloud Code console. This looks like it's going to bring really super simple secrets into their cloud code, which might help you keep your secrets out of your code. I know that some people struggle with accidentally checking their secrets and stuff into the code because that's how it's easy to use them and placing it in there. And this is what it looks like it looks to solve. So I haven't actually tested this out myself, but it's on my list of things to test out. I actually saw it later this week, so I didn't really have that much time. As far as cloud goes, AWS released a new lower cost storage for the Amazon Elastic File System, or EFS. Now, one of the things that you have to understand about this is it's really only for people who don't need the redundancy. So basically, you only get one zone of redundancy instead of multiple zones. So this is how it's cheaper. But if you have a lot of data that it doesn't require multiple zones, they now provide a way to have that cheaper. So anyways, this is really great if you have a lot of stuff that could run with only one zone of backup. So anyways, it's worth checking out, but be aware that, it doesn't have as high availability because it's only one zone. This was another, I love reading blog posts, and I try to bring you the best ones of the week. All right, this one was about measuring enterprise developer productivity. This one I've seen it done horribly. I've seen it done not at all because it's hard. And mostly I see it done horribly. I disagree with some of the things that they state here, but I think a lot of it was really good. And basically, it comes down to these things. Basically, the developer satisfaction, their performance, which is, again, hard to measure, activity, and collaboration. I love that these two are part of it because really this can have a huge effect on the entire team. Basically, you could have a team player that doesn't make very many commits, but they support the rest of the team. And that's where these two things really play in. Also, good communication is hard, and being able to communicate effectively can actually bring collaboration and productivity to the rest of the team. So anyways, I think that this is a good starting point. It's a good place to start a discussion. I might actually make a video bringing it up as a discussion topic because I like some of the things. I kind of think some of the things are wrong, but yeah. All right, let's get into some projects because that's what we like to talk about. Although we get a lot of security stuff. So here's something I had never seen before. It is a application security platform for Kubernetes. So it's basically an application aware, and it extends Envoy. So if you use Envoy proxy, this looks like something that would be really interesting to look into. I haven't actually used it yet, so there's a quick start guide here. I don't know if you have to run Envoy or if it's packaged together, because if you don't run Envoy and you'd have to then also use Envoy, which isn't part of your normal workflow, maybe it's not for you. But if they kind of package it all in one and it just uses Envoy in the back end, then this might be really awesome. I have to dig further into this. So, but yeah, so anyways, it's worth checking out, especially I think if you use Envoy. So as we've talked, security is so important, and having layers of security, I don't know how many times I have to repeat that in your cloud infrastructure. It's like the zero trust of CloudFlare. That's why CloudFlare, I'm not going to say doesn't care that its cameras were hacked, but it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, so check it out if you guys run stuff in Kubernetes, because it is a Kubernetes native. So yeah. All right, this one is Flux. So I talk a lot about GitOps. And so in GitOps, there are two major projects. Argo CD. Sorry, I was blanking on the name for a second. Let me take a drink so I can think. Argo CD is the one I like and what I use. And actually, Argo CD and Flux have gotten together to build a better base for GitOps. But Flux is the other big one, and this is Flux, I believe, was created by Weaveworks. Weaveworks is a great engineering company, and it was now promoted to incubating project. So it was a sandbox project, and incubating just means that it's a little bit more stable and a little bit more mainstream. So it's working its way towards that stable, generally available. So if you know somebody that works on Flux or want to jump on their Slack and congratulate them, you should go ahead and do that. It's pretty cool, even though I mostly use Argo CD. It's a pretty cool project. So, yep. Nope, nobody. I have this. This was funny. So this is Intel bragging about their Intel Optane. Has anybody ever been able to get their hands on Intel Optane memory? Intel, if you're listening to this, please send me some. I would love to test it out and play around with it. I have actually never seen a stick of Intel Optane memory. So this is a case study saying that this Open EBS is like the fastest for Intel Optane memory, but I don't know anybody that runs Intel Optane memory. But Open EBS does look cool. So if you are, this is why I left this in here. Go ahead and check it out. It's a storage for basically Intel Optane SSDs. And yeah, supposedly it's very fast on them. 7-zip. I don't know that anybody that watches my channel actually uses 7-zip because I think it's a Windows only tool. But a long time ago when I was a Windows developer, like 3 years ago, I used 7-zip all the time. And it's finally been released for Linux. So basically there was an old one that somebody released, but if you like 7-zip, there's a Linux version now. So go check it out. And yeah. And we're finally to the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight. This is quite possibly the biggest news last week. Akash dcloud. Actually, I don't know it's Akash. That's how I've always pronounced it, but Akash dcloud. Now, if you watched my What Tech I'm Doing this year, one of the things I said I was doing later this year was a project around the blockchain. And as I've stated many times, I feel like the blockchain is misused a lot of the time. A lot of times when people talk about the blockchain, they're talking about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin. Dogecoin's my personal favorite. Maybe I should hashtag that. But they're talking about a coin offering. And I have always said that blockchain is not about the coins. You're missing the point if you're focusing on the coins. And not that the coins don't play a part, but what is very interesting about something like the blockchain is what it allows a cashier to do. And this is a unclouded dcloud. Basically what it does is it allows you to sell your excess servers or your excess whatnot to let people run their compute on it. And I've not actually seen a really good one that actually does this well yet. And Akash seems to be doing it well. They claim that it's going to be way cheaper than running on the public cloud. And basically they're going to use the blockchain to guarantee that your service runs. And this is going to allow people to sell out a physical service like their spare server and get paid for it. So this has two things. One, we're going to, by the end of this year, as long as I can sign up for it, I think I can, but as long as I can, we're going to deploy something on Akash. Two, we're going to see if we can't get our own Akash server up and running so that we can sell stuff out on it. So I can just report back on how that is. I'm sending Akash a email letting them know that I would love to do a interview with them. And so hopefully they'll reply and say yes. Although I need a lot more viewers, subscribers before they probably will say yes. So yeah, take that or leave that. But yeah, this is really exciting because this is what I think the power of the blockchain really holds. Things like this is what we can do with it. As a pure coin offering, it's not really that awesome. Not in my books, at least. This is what I'm excited about. So, anyways, yeah, that's it. I have a couple of slides here on Akash documentation. I've been reading up on it this week, and basically they have several different networks that you can choose from, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited about it. All right. Well, guys, that's about it. Let me know. Again, remember, M1 Mac review is coming out. If there's a question that you have that you want to know about from a developer's perspective, please let me know now so I can include it in my video or my response to it. Other than that, yeah, let me know how you like this content. If what you'd like to see different. Do you like all the security stuff, or would you prefer that we just skip the security stuff? I think security is important, but I know that really the really interesting things are things like the Akash dcloud. So yeah, let me know. Let me have your feedback. Yeah. Anyways, it was fantastic having you guys hang out here with me. If you're interested in seeing Akash, let me know. And remember, get those M1 questions to me, either on Twitter or in Discord. Well, that will be it for me today, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out and watching this video, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.